violation?
It's a book that a commercial driver's license has to keep about the hours of work, the hours of driving the truck.
So you first found guilty of violating the code to keep that book, which you keep in order to maintain an honest record of the driving hours you put in.
Well, ma'am, I was not found guilty of that.
You mean you were found not guilty of that and they imposed a fine anyway?
Yes.
On top of several other tickets.
Shh. That's an interesting criminal justice system. You were found not guilty, got a fine anyway?
Yes, ma'am, of different charges. The charges were reduced.
So you pled down to a lesser charge?
Yes, ma'am.
I got it now. So you accumulated all of these fines. Did you still have a driver's license, sir?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Mr. Fitzgerald, you're supposed to pay fines. I'm sure you were told that as a condition of the plea and the reduction in the fines, so that, I don't know whether there was potential jail time involved, you were supposed to pay the fines.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you? That's your responsibility.
Well, at that time, Your Honor,
Let's not talk about it that time when you had big child support, you had other things that you had to take care of. We're talking about 6 years later, sir.
Yes, ma'am. The problem was, like I said, back years ago, I used to pay more money in my check for child support than I was actually making those times, and points where I actually received check stubs stating void, $0. I actually owed the company money.
Well, sir, that's
You can't take blood from
Mr.
a stone, Your Honor.
Mr. Fitzgerald, how many children do you have, sir?
3 children.
The only reason that they were taking out more money, sir, than you actually made is because there was a time when you got behind in your child support.
Yes, ma'am.
They don't keep me here because I'm gorgeous. You could have disagreed with me, Mr. Fitzgerald. It would have gone far. So the reason... Right, you would have missed opportunity. So, for that reason, sir, you didn't do the right thing with regard to your 3 children. And the state said, okay, what's your first name?
Chris.
Chris. Okay, Chris, we're going to really give it to you. We're going to take all your money. So whatever you work for, we're going to take because you didn't do the right thing to begin with. What I don't understand, Mr. Fitzgerald, is that after you owed this money, now we're talking about years later, and I assume that now, based upon your answer, you were making good money. So if you were making good money, why didn't you pay your debt to society?
I can't answer that, Your Honor. Just...
Good, it's a good thing you can't answer it. You don't know, there's no good reason.
Doesn't pay any of his debt.
Shh, Miss Scott. Does it sound as if you're losing yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Now, you want to tell me how come it came about that you paid these fines for him?
Absolutely.
First of all, there had to come a time in your relationship with Mr. Fitzgerald, which was a brief relationship because you only met him through his girlfriend, who was a friend of yours, that you found out that he had all these old fines, right?
Right.
You didn't, go like this to your crystal ball. And they say, oh, Chris Fitzgerald has fines, I'm going to pay them. Somebody must have told you.
Do you have any you'd like me to pay?
Right.
Anybody else?
Anybody else? So would you please tell me, Miss Goppert, how you found out that Mr. Fitzgerald had these fines that precluded him from having a driver's license?
Okay. In speaking with his girlfriend, Terry, over coffee in a convenience store one morning, it was brought to my attention that he did want to drive truck again, but
Is that
he
what
had
she
no
said?
license.
That's what she said.
She asked
Stop.
to drive.
Hey. What's your name?
Terry.
How long have you been a friend of Terry's?
Maybe just a little short of a year.
Okay. So you and Terry having coffee, she says that her boyfriend was interested in driving a truck.
He had a CDLA, yes, and that we had the trucking company, and he'd like to get back into the trucking company because he made good money. How convenient. I happen to have a trucking company.
Great.
So we talked about it over several weeks. I said, well, he needs to fill out an application. Let's see what we can do with it. After the application process, I find out he doesn't have a license. And he had 14 tickets within 4 municipalities. They produced a copy of his expansion record from New York State Department of Motor Vehicle to me.
Who produced it?
Terry brought it into work. I looked it over and I said, wow, what is this mess? She proceeded to tell me that at one point, Chris had retained an attorney. The attorney did get some of the charges dismissed. Went from 14 down to 7. 7 of them were dismissed.
Your Honor, why would my attorney...
Was that a question you were posing to me?
Yes, I'm trying to...
Oh, just a second. I don't answer questions. I ask them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I agreed to drive her truck.
Oh,
That's all
now
it was.
there you...
Now,
Now,
Your
you've
Honor,
got just a second. Hey, Slick, I read your answer. You want to read it again?
And later today,
Were you there that night, sir?
Yes, I was.
Good. That's all I asked you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Karen Goppert claims former friend Chris Fitzgerald racked up multiple tickets as a truck driver. She paid the outstanding fines on his behalf and claims Chris never paid her back.
Okay, so far, I haven't heard a conversation with Mr. Fitzgerald. I've heard a conversation only with Terry.
Chris also, over the course of the winter, wasn't working and needed money. And my husband and I also have 11 rental properties. And Chris is somewhat of a handyman, if that's what you want to call it. He put a steel roof on one of our rental properties.
He worked for you over the summer. Go ahead.
Yeah, and he was paid in full.
Go ahead.
And of course, during the course of him working on our rental properties, there was discussion about getting these tickets resolved. It was agreed that I would pay the fines for him so that he could get his CDLA. He would drive truck for us. Then the bottom line number, said and done, after we got to the point where everything was paid and he started driving truck for us, I would take whatever Chris and I agreed to per week out of his pay to repay the debt.
You had that conversation with Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes, I did.
Okay, now, how much did you pay to get his record cleared?
$635.
Okay, go ahead.
After we got all the fines paid, it was time for him to go to the New York State DMV and get his permit so that he could take the 6-hour course. I had given Terry at the store over coffee one morning $100 in cash. In fact, it was a $100 bill, and she remarked how she never had one of those. And I gave her the $100 bill so that Chris could obtain the permit and pay for the 6-hour course.
Go ahead.
So there's another $100.
Well, not necessarily, but go ahead.
Okay. He took all the receipts to DMV to get his permit and could not get it because he had no birth certificate. He has no social security card. He has no identity. So he calls up all in a tizzy. These people, blah, blah, blah. He's irate. Bring me what you got. Let's see what you got. He comes over to my house. Come to find out he was born in Canada. He has dual citizenship. So I paid another $35 on my credit card, and here's a copy of the application to try to get him a birth certificate from Canada.
Go ahead.
That's it. Not, my time, my postage, endless hours, letters, communication, correspondence, telephone
Mr.
calls.
Fitzgerald, let me hear your version of the events, sir.
Ma'am, it started about the time she stated. Karen had paid $635, but she wanted me to drive her truck. I gave up driving truck in the year 2000. I gave up driving for 30 cents a mile. She was putting me in a truck for 30 cents a mile. Here we are 6 years later. Inflation's gone up, ma'am.
Mr. Fitzgerald, you told me in your answer, sir, you didn't want to drive a truck. Then could you explain to me why you went down to try to get a license?
Because I need a license for many reasons. I need one for an identification card. I need one to drive to and from work.
Well, you didn't go down to get it in order to drive trucks for her. What did you go to her house for when you were having difficulty and have her put on her credit card an additional $35, sir? If you, listen to me, if your intention, or at least your articulated intention, was not to become part of her business, if you couldn't get a driver's license, sir, why didn't you go to your girlfriend to get the $35? Why would you go to a stranger, Mr. Fitzgerald? That doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly, ma'am. I never asked Mrs. Goppert.
No. You did go to her house.
After the fact.
No. Listen to me very carefully. Watch my mouth. You did go to her house.
After the fact.
After what fact?
The fact that she'd already spent the $35 for the application fee, ma'am.
No. We're not talking about the application fee, sir. We're talking about the fact that you went to get a license.
Yes, ma'am.
Which you say you needed for identification. Just identification, not because you had any business with her. You just need an identification to sort of get around. You haven't had it for years, but you needed it now. And then you ran into some difficulty because you didn't have a birth certificate. So why wouldn't you go to your girlfriend if you didn't have $35 and say, listen, I need $35. I don't have it. I don't have a credit card. I need it now. Or why not just wait? You've waited for years anyway.
Your Honor, I could have reached into my own pocket and pulled out the $35.
Then
but
why?
Mrs. Goppert has volunteered her money to pay my fines, to pay everything for me to drive her
Fitzgerald, you're
truck.
not following me, sir.
Your Honor, you're not following me. She wanted me to drive her truck. I agreed to drive her truck. That's all
now
it was.
there you
Now,
you've got just a second. Hey, Slick, I read your answer. You want to read it again?
No, ma'am. I know what I said.
What you said was you had no intention of driving a truck. Now you tell me you did
Not
have
at 30
intention.
cents a mile, ma'am. I quit 6 years ago at 30 cents a mile. I'm not going to start. Why go backwards in life? Life is going forward.
Listen to me. When my mouth starts to move, you have to stop.
Yes, ma'am.
So, is what you're saying to me, sir, that you agreed to drive a truck for her, and you agreed to pay her out of your pay, but when push came to shove, she was only prepared to pay you 30 cents a mile, and you weren't going to work for the same wages that you worked for 6 years ago?
Correct.
Well, that's too bad. You should have figured that out before you took her money.
Thank you.
What you're saying to me now is different from what you put in your answer. What you're saying to me now is there was an agreement to pay her back, but you did not have an agreed upon amount of money for when you drove with her. When push came to shove, you said, I'm not driving for you.
Your Honor, I never asked.
I'm speaking, sir. That's what you just told me. And if that's what you just told me, you don't understand that you cannot modify the terms of a contract. Your contract with her was a verbal contract. She paid the fines. You were going to go to work for her. If you breached that agreement by not going to work for her, that, sir, does not vitiate your contract. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $635.
Thank you.
But she did lie.
She's a wealthy woman, and she's got more money than I have and ever will have.
I don't just shell out money to people. Wealthy or not wealthy, money don't grow on trees in my backyard.
I agreed to drive her truck, and now I'm not going.
If he had no intentions of driving truck, why did he fill out the application? Why waste my time?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Taylor versus Lorette. Step forward.
22-year-old Lacey Taylor is suing her ex-fiancé, Robert Lorette, for unpaid charges on a Lowe's credit card.
Miss Taylor, you and Mr. Lorette used to live together.
Correct.
According to your complaint, you made a loan to him.
Right.
The loan to him was for tools for a business that he wanted to start. You made the loan to him by taking out a credit card for
Yes.
Lowe's, where he purchased the tools, with the understanding that he was going to pay that bill. And when you broke up, he did not pay the bill, and you want him to pay the bill because this was an expense solely for him and solely for his business.
Correct.
Mr. Lorette says he gave you money to pay the bills. You were in charge of paying the bills, and you should have paid the Lowe's bill like you paid all the other bills.
I never got any money.
Okay. When did you live together, Miss Tabler?
We moved in October 2004.
Did you move into his house, or did he move into your house?
I moved into his apartment with him and his mother.
When did you take out this Lowe's credit card?
In November 2004.
So, a month after you moved in?
Yes.
Well, tell me about it.
He had been working for different people for construction, and he wanted to start up his business again because he had it once before. So we had agreed that since he didn't have enough credit to get a credit card from Lowe's, we would open it under my name, him sign for it. That way he has his own card, and he would be responsible for the bill, basically everything. It was just my name on it just so he can get the account.
Well, that was in November of 2004.
Right.
When was the first purchase made?
Actually in November 2004.
And when the bill came in December, who paid it?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
From what account? Mr. Lorette, from what account did you pay it?
I did several times go in and make payments besides me giving her money for the bill.
Just a sec. You went into the store
Yes, ma'am.
and made payments.
Yes, ma'am.
How often did that happen?
Every now and then. It only happened once or twice.
Now you're thinking back to what you just said to me, Mr. Lorette. You're trying to take it back, sir. Don't play with me, sir. You're never going to outsmart me. And there's a very good reason for that. Do you know what the reason is?
No, ma'am.
Think about it. You're not going to be able to outsmart me, sir. So when you said who paid for it, and you said, I did, that was the right answer. You paid for it, starting in November of 2004. Let me see the last bill that you got. Miss Lorette, start talking, sir.
Well,
That's the last one.
I don't understand that if she thought I was responsible for it, which the bill is in her name and it goes to her house, her address, they have no way of contacting me. If she thought I was liable for the bill, she should have gotten in contact with me.
Actually, the collection agency did have his number because I gave them his number, and they called him and they said no one answered.
Well, sure, because they had you. Do you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been working at the same job?
I just transferred to a different job. I had the previous job for a year.
Who do you work for?
I'm a carpenter.
Who do you work for?
Rodney.
How long have you worked for Rodney?
I've been with him for about 6 months.
You get paid in check or cash?
Check.
Prior to that, who were you working for?
I was working for another construction company.
For how long?
Well, I was with him for about a year.
Paid in check or cash?
Uh,
Oh, it's not an answer.
He paid me cash and no taxes taken out, and I filed taxes at the end of the year.
So there was no way that the Lowe's people, if they wanted to come and get money from you, could attach your salary. Because till the end of the year, nobody knew you had a salary, right?
Yes, ma'am, you're right.
I know I'm right. Mr. Lorette, I got that I'm right, sir. I want to know, why don't you take care of your bills?
I did give her money for it.
Well,
what
show
she
me,
did with
sir.
The money,
Show me that you gave her
I
money.
can't show you because she was living with me. I trusted her.
Well, tell me how you gave her money for this Lowe's bill.
When she opened the account, the first few jobs I did, I gave her like $1,200.
Yes.
And then when the business did go down and I did the tools, I gave her an additional $600. What she did with the money, that was her.
Okay, so you gave her, according to you, $1,800.
Yes, ma'am.
He actually pawned some of the tools also, which I didn't know about till after they were pawned.
That's what I gave her the $600
Did he
from.
give you money for that?
No, ma'am.
When did you pawn the tools?
I don't
March
quite remember.
16th, 2005. I actually
how
have
do you know that?
copies of the receipts from the pawn shop.
And how did you get those?
I had to go through the police to get a copy because my name was on the account, so I do own the tools, but I wasn't the one who pawned the tools.
He did.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see that,
Sure.
please? What'd you do with the money, Mr. Lorette?
I gave her some of the money.
You gave her some of the money. How much did you give her?
I don't remember how much I got. I know I gave her
He got
$600.
$280 from it.
Did you sell some of the tools and pawn some of the tools, sir, or did you pawn all of the tools?
I really do not remember.
Now you're getting smart, Mr. Lorette. Now you're getting smart.
That was the only receipt.
Shh.
Sorry.
I got him.
Okay.
You don't get it, but I get it.
Oh, no, I get it now.
Now you get it.
It took me a while, but I get it.
I'm older.
That's what my mom said.
I'm older.
It's
I
the
get
wise.
it. I get it. You know, the most interesting thing about him is when he answers your question, you think he's not smart enough to lie, right? You know, that's
Yeah.
the first impression that you get.
believed it
But
for a
after,
while.
but after you talk to him for a while, you see that this dumb act is not so dumb. Now, it would be impossible for you to give her $600 for the tools that you pawned because you only got $280 for the tools. And unless you're a magician, it's very hard to make 600 out of 280. Wouldn't you say that that's true, sir?
It was just a rough guess, Your Honor. It's been so
It was a
long.
rough guess, but you didn't tell me that, Mr. Lorette. You didn't say it was a rough guess, but it wasn't a rough guess about the $1,200,
I
right?
know for a fact I gave
Fact,
her
you know for a fact. Show me a bank statement where you
I
took
can't-
out $1,200.
I have a witness.
Listen, he is not going to stand up and put himself into my mouth. I guarantee you that, Mr. Lorette.
That's the only
He's
proof
not that stupid. Isn't that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Pay your bills, sir. And I want to tell you something. Most of the people that you're going to meet in this life are going to be smarter than you.
Probably right.
I know. Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $22.70. That's
Thank
all.
you.
All right, sir, excuse me. Step out.
I'm just glad it bill's paid off because now I can just put it behind me and keep going.
She was living with me. I trusted her with the cash.
He had told me after the fact that he pawned them.
We were living in an apartment and I had a trailer and I needed to get rid of all of that.
I called his house a few times and he never answered.
It just turned sour. We wasn't getting along.
No offense, but I'm not going to trust a few people till I get to know him a whole lot more.
5-year-old nanny, Danielle Burak, is suing her former employer, Lisa Adams, for 1 month's salary and for the cost of an airline ticket. Danielle claims she was wrongfully terminated.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 276 on the calendar in the matter of Burak versus Adams.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss Burak, you were employed for a period of time as a nanny for the defendant's child. One child?
One child.
And it is your claim that you had a contract. It was an oral contract, and that contract provided that you would give them 30 days notice of your intention to leave, and they would give you 30 days notice of their intention to terminate your services. There came a time when you were away on some sort of a vacation, and you claimed that Miss Adams unceremoniously fired you without giving you the requisite 30-day notice. In addition, you claim that they owe you the plane ticket because if you had not been terminated so abruptly, you would have had a plane ticket to come home from vacation. So that's your case. Ms. Adams says that there was certainly a contract, an oral contract, that provided that you would give them 30-day notice of your intention to leave, but there was no commensurate 30-day provision with regard to them, that they could fire you at will at any time. That's your defense.
Correct.
When did you begin your employment with the Adams family?
I started working for them February 14th of 2005.
How did you find Miss Burak, Miss Adams?
Through a nanny agency.
What was the name of the agency?
I actually don't recall the agency.
It was Elite Domestic Agency.
Could you keep your voice up, please? Hear my voice? Ah! Keep your voice
Elite
up so I can
Domestic
hear you.
Agency.
What?
Elite Domestic Agency.
February 14th, 2005. And you worked until when, Miss Burak?
Last day I worked was August 11th of 2006. Total of 18 months.
Miss Adams, you have a little boy or a little girl?
Little boy.
How old is he?
He's 2.5 years old.
So he was a little less than a year old
He was...
when Miss Burak came.
Correct.
And she took good care of him?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
My husband and I own a design firm at the Pacific Design Center.
So you really relied on her to be the sole custodian of your son while you were at work?
Absolutely.
And this is your only child?
Yes.
Tell me why you fired her.
There were many incidents that led up to the termination. It was definitely a culmination of incidents. The last incident was Danielle going on vacation.
When did she go on vacation?
She went on vacation. The dates changed. So at first she wanted to take off August 11th, 14th, and 15th. On the day of the 10th, she requested to take off the 14th, 15th, and 16th. And that was a pattern with her. She was very notorious for always leaving and not coming back the day she was supposed to come back. So that was not surprising to me that she requested those 3 days. I had to reschedule my meetings, and I said that was fine. The day she was leaving, I said, please, please come back on the 17th. I need you back to work.
Now, the 17th was what day of the week?
Thursday. I said, I have meetings at work. I really need you to be back. And she hugged me and she said, I will be back. In my mind, I thought, I'm sure something is going to come up, whether it's the plane, was delayed, there was something happened, something was going to come up. And indeed, on Tuesday, I got an email saying that she wanted to take Thursday and Friday off and that she would be back to work on Monday. I sent an email saying, and I spoke to my husband and I said, I cannot believe this, but at the same time I could. And I said, I really need you back to work on Thursday. Please come back to work. And she basically then sent me an email saying that she had another person that could come in and fill in for her.
Who did she have to fill in for her?
A friend.
A friend
who is
whose
also
name
a
is?
nanny.
I
believe her name is Simone.
Had you ever met her?
I met her once, so I was not comfortable with...
Do you know who she works for?
I do not know the mother, so I really don't know anything about her.
Okay.
And so she said that she wanted to have her fill in. And I said, no, that's not going to work for me. I don't know who she is. I don't feel comfortable having her watch son without me there at the house. And she sent me an email saying she's very trustworthy and she's my friend. And I said, this is not personal. I don't know who she is. No. And I basically said, again, I needed you back to work on Thursday. So when that avenue closed, she then said, oh, by the way, I didn't get my paycheck on Friday, the Friday prior. And the reason she couldn't come to work was because she didn't have a plane ticket to come back to work. So, just everything going up in the air now. What was the lie? Was the lie that there was an annual event in Santa Fe that prevented her to coming back to work?
I'll find out in a minute.
Okay. There was no lie.
Just as I'll find out in a minute.
Sure.
She wanted the extra 2 days because the extra 2 days meant the extra 2 days plus a weekend. Where was the boyfriend?
Fiance was in New Mexico.
With you?
Correct. And
Is
his
that
daughter.
where he lives?
No, he was out in New Mexico for work with his daughter.
Did you travel out there together with him?
No, they drove together separate earlier, and I flew on my own.
When were they coming back?
They were coming back on the following Monday.
So you were going to be flying home alone, according to you, on Sunday.
Well, I was going to fly back Wednesday night to be back to work for Thursday and Friday.
Yes.
And I didn't receive my paycheck for my last 2 weeks of pay, and I kept asking Lisa why I wasn't getting the paycheck, and she wasn't addressing it. And I didn't have the funds in my account to purchase a ticket back to work.
How did you purchase the ticket, Miss Burak, to go out there?
I had money in my account.
Well, I want to know how exactly you did that. Did you pay for that ticket in cash? Did you pay for that ticket with a credit card? How did you pay for that ticket? I'm sure you can document it for me.
I paid for my ticket online.
Online with what?
With my debit card.
You have a record of that?
I don't. I have a record of flying back, but I don't have a record of that, no.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Miss Burak, when you lie about one thing, your entire testimony becomes suspect, madam. The reason I asked to see this is because I didn't believe that the reason you didn't buy a return ticket was because you didn't have money in your account. And I didn't believe you when you said to me that I paid for it with a debit card because you're trying to think too hard. Now, it doesn't make sense for you to pay for one ticket going one way with a debit card and the other way with your MasterCard, which is how you paid for this ticket. So it didn't make any difference whether you had the paycheck in your account or not. You could have purchased your round-trip ticket at the same time you purchased a ticket going. You could have purchased it coming back. Because you didn't use a debit card, you used MasterCard.
Well, the reason why I didn't book the flight back was because I didn't have enough money in my account.
You told me that before. I didn't believe it when you told me for the first time. And now that you hand this thing to me, it clearly says that this ticket was purchased with a MasterCard, which doesn't require that you have the money in the bank at the time of the purchase. You just have to pay it when you get the bill. You follow me?
I follow you.
Good. So that's not why you didn't buy your ticket, because you didn't have money in the bank. So the story that you just told me about not buying the ticket on Wednesday is really not true.
Well, it is true.
No, it isn't. Then explain to me why it was purchased on MasterCard.
Because my fiance offered to pay for my ticket.
He should have offered to pay for your ticket on Wednesday when you were due home.
Well, I didn't feel comfortable asking him.
I understand why you fired her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That requires a yes or a no answer.
They didn't pay me, yes. I would equally say.
That's not my question, sir.
I'm sorry,
this is my ballpark. Okay, my playground.
And later today,
if she felt she needed the money before, she should have called the travel agent herself.
She could have done this and she would have done that. And if she did this, she wouldn't have been in that chair. She had an agreement with you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nanny Danielle Durack claims former employer Lisa Adams terminated her without cause. Lisa says Danielle was unreliable.
Now you want me to believe that you had a contract with Miss Adams. Part of the contract was that if she was going to terminate you without cause, she would give you 30 days notice. Because, Miss Durack, you cannot expect someone who has entrusted their most precious possession, their child, with you, if you do something that's wrong to the child. Let's say she finds you hitting the child. You think she's required to give you 30 days notice and pay you?
No, but that never
No.
happened.
No, the answer is no. You think that if she catches you doing drugs in the house, she's got to give you 30 days notice and pay you? The answer would be, of course, no, right? Well, what Miss Adams is saying is she found you to be dishonest, that you were giving her dishonest answers for what your intentions were when you went on this vacation, that you had an intention to follow a course of conduct which was coming back late and being irresponsible. So, while it's true that you didn't, as far as she knows, abuse her child or neglect her child, it is a short leap from being dishonest with regard to one thing to another. And what she's saying is, she fired you for cause. And the cause was you were due back on Wednesday, and you didn't come back on Wednesday. We're going to come back the following Monday. That's unsatisfactory. You have a responsibility. Is this your fiancé?
Yes.
What kind of work does he do?
He's an artist. He's a photographer and a writer and a producer.
Does he have any full-time gainful employment?
Yes.
At what?
He's an actor.
Well, does he act in something regularly?
Yes.
What?
A show on ABC.
What show on ABC?
Wildfire.
He has a recurring role? I'm sorry, I haven't seen it.
Yes, he does.
Your last name is?
Haynes, Your Honor.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes,
How often do you film Wildfire?
about once every 2 to 3 weeks.
And
They're building the roll-up.
how many days a week do you film, sir?
It can be anywhere from 3 to 5.
Sounds wonderful to me, sir.
Yes.
Did you ever call your producer and say to your producer, I'm in Santa Fe. I can't make it on Friday. I just answer my question. I'm in Santa Fe. I can't make it on Friday.
Well, Your Honor, we
No. I'm just asking you a question, sir, that requires a yes or a no answer.
if
Did
they
you
didn't
ever
pay
call-
me, yes, I would equally
That's not
say.
my question,
Oh,
sir.
I'm sorry, maybe
This is
it's-
my ballpark.
Yes, it is.
Okay, my playground. Did you ever call your producer and say to your producer, I can't get to Santa Fe on Friday. I'll come on Monday. Or have you always shown up when you're supposed to, on time?
I always show up when I'm supposed to.
Thank you. You can sit down now. You ought to teach your fiancé the same thing. You were fired, Miss Durack, for cause. The cause was that you acted irresponsibly. And if she fired you for cause, even if she had an agreement to give you notice without cause, for cause, she doesn't have to give you any notice, because that would be ridiculous. If you were abusing her child, she wasn't going to give you 30 days notice. If you were neglecting her child, she wasn't going to give you 30 days notice. And she found out that you were irresponsible. And this wasn't evidently a one-shot deal. This had happened before. Something that happens with nannies, by the way, because Miss Burak doesn't want to spend the next 30 years being a nanny. What I'm trying to tell you is Miss Burak is trying to find her way and figure out what she wants to do with her life, right? I know very, very few people who want to be Mrs. Doubtfire, that's their role in life. Do you understand? Yes. So if she blows you off for a day or two, most nannies feel as if they've got you right here because they're in charge of your children. You have no case, Miss Burak. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
While we do feel like Danielle did a good job with our child,
Well, I was very attached and very close to Kai.
it was really a culmination of things of dishonesty and deceit.
Well, I wasn't dishonest.
There were numerous incidents.
I really didn't have the funds to come back to work.
You know, the most important thing is my son, Kai.
I just hope that Kai finds peace.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Null versus Dietz. Step forward.
Deborah Null is suing former live-in boyfriend Adam Dietz for unpaid rent and bills. Deborah says Adam moved in 2 days after they met.
Miss Null, the defendant was a boyfriend just for a brief period of time. You met him, according to your complaint, while he was separated from his then pregnant wife. According to your complaint, you met him, he moved into your home shortly thereafter. You had an agreement with him that he would pay for half of the bills, half the rent on the house, because the house belongs to your mother, and half of the credit card bill that you were using because it was just more convenient. You claim that he moved out months later without paying his obligations. Mr. Dietz says that he acknowledges that he owes you a month's rent, $400. Doesn't owe you any other money. He says he was prohibited from staying at the house after March of this year. So, when did you meet him? What date?
January 12th.
Where?
At a bar.
And when did he move in?
January 14th.
Foolish, right?
Yes.
Foolish.
Very.
Shh. Why did you let him move in 2 days after you met him?
Well, he had told me that he was separated from his wife, and I didn't find out till months later that the day he got my phone number, he went home and moved out and left his wife. I thought he'd been separated for, like, a long amount of time.
What difference is that? That's not my question. I don't care if he was...
Okay, well, he had told me that he was staying at his father's house, which was an hour and a half away from his work, and I lived close to his work.
That still doesn't tell me why you let him move in 2 days after you met him.
Because I really liked him.
What?
After the initial night, I tried to leave multiple times. She threw a fit. She's been over my dad's house.
Mr. Dietz, why don't you be quiet for a minute?
All right.
Because the statement that you just made to me is ridiculous.
Oh,
yeah,
it is not,
ridiculous.
Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm telling you it's ridiculous. And I assume you don't want to appear ridiculous. Because while I don't understand why she would allow you to move in 2 days after she met you, I can understand why you would move in. Because...
I can go into details, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow you to go into details, sir. It's something that I'm looking forward to with a great deal of expectation. Because I know that you have this peculiar dumb look on your face, you know, this dumb grin on your face. You know, you're not quite sure how things are going to go. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to be a smart aleck, things are not going to go well. Because she may have found you attractive enough to allow you to move into her home 2 days after she met you. I guarantee you one thing, sir. I do not. You're not my type.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's better. Now we understand each other, Mr. Dietz. Now, he moved in January 14th, and according to your complaint, you made an arrangement with him at some point to pay some rent.
Yes.
When was that?
It was February 15th.
Okay, so he lived there for a month, rent-free, expense-free.
Yes.
And when did you have this agreement with him?
Well, what had happened was he had bought me diamond earrings for Valentine's Day, and he gave me a card and asked me to marry him. So I figured if we were going to get married, then he should have to start paying rent. I'd been divorced for 3 years, hadn't really had a boyfriend, so I know I ran into it way too fast. I realized that, and I just fell in love very quickly.
Okay, so fell in love, but were practical enough to have him sign an agreement to pay you half the rent.
Yes.
And why was that?
Because my ex-husband, when we had got divorced, I was left with all the bills from him. We'd been married for over 10 years, and I wasn't going to go through all that again.
Okay, can I see the agreement that he signed? Okay. So Joanne Bird is your mother?
Correct.
She gave you a credit card?
Yes.
And you had a card made for him?
No, when we would go to the grocery store or anything that was bought for the house, we had agreed to split whatever was bought for the house, groceries and stuff.
Did you use the credit card for anything else?
We did buy some clothes, but other than that...
No, not we. You.
No.
You didn't use the card to buy clothes?
Yeah, I bought clothes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You,
Yes.
personally.
Yes.
Well, he's not responsible for that.
Well, he had clothes on there, too.
Oh, well, I'm not getting involved
Okay.
with the credit card bill,
Okay.
madam. Understand that.
Yes.
You know, I didn't do 15 years of post-high school to go through a credit card bill line by line. If you were foolish enough to buy stuff on a credit card for him, that's your problem.
Okay.
How much rent did you pay your mother for the house?
I usually would give her $200 a week, and that would be including utilities and stuff. Because it's
So
all
your
in her name.
agreement, Mr. Dietz, was to give her $400 a month for the rent?
My agreement was to help out, Your Honor, and nonetheless, I was the only one working. She had worked at her last job.
Listen to
Decided
me.
that-
Listen to me. I'm looking at your answer, Mr. Dietz. You say, I do agree I owe her about $400 for 1 month's worth of rent and bills.
I never signed that piece of paper, Your Honor.
Talk
We
to
may
you.
have had a verbal agreement.
Just a
That's
second.
it.
I'm looking at this piece of paper, sir. You did sign this piece of paper, right?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's what I'm reading from. It says,
Says
I
an
do
agreement.
agree. I'm speaking. I do agree I owe her about $400 for 1 month's worth of rent and bills. You signed that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not talking about anything. I'm talking about this.
Okay. Yep, that's exactly true.
What month do you owe her for, sir?
I think that would be February.
You lost your job in March?
I collected unemployment, which was still $430 a week.
Well, now you're helping yourself, but whatever it is, if you want to tell me that, that's fine, because according to Miss Null, you said that because you were not working, she agreed to let things go until you got a job, until you could pay her back. But now you tell me you had the money. What month did you move out of the house?
It would have been court-ordered that we no longer be together because of accusations made by her ex-husband.
Could you just give me the
Middle
month,
Middle
sir?
March.
Mid-March.
Mid-March.
Okay. Now, Miss Null, he says he was no longer living there on a full-time basis after mid-March because your former husband alleged that he had abused your child while on either custody or visitation period with you, and he could no longer be in the house.
Correct.
When was that?
That was in March, but when he was not staying at my house, Mr. Dietz was staying at my mother's house.
So what?
So he was still staying in my mother's house or my house.
Well, that's not where he had the agreement to pay rent. At your mother's house.
Well, when the custody was over, Mr. Dietz came back.
When was that?
I believe the beginning of June.
And when did he leave permanently?
August 12th.
Did you come back in June full-time, sir?
I don't believe I ever came back full-time, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Null, when was the last time he gave you money?
He gave me money sporadically, and I never wrote it down. It was very...
So you don't know how much money he gave you?
I think he gave me approximately $500 for the whole entire time he lived with me.
Miss Null, that is not what you do in court, madam. Because this arrangement didn't work out and because he went back with his wife, you can't come to court and say, well, he gave me money sporadically. You have what you allege to be a contract.
Yes.
So that what you have to do is when he gives you money, you have to write it down, memorialize it, give him a receipt, write it down exactly how much you get so you know how much is did. You can't come in here and say to me, well, I think he gave me $500 while we were together in February, which is the day you say he signed this. And March he left, but then he came back in June. Now, he says he owes a month's rent. That's what he says. And you don't know how much he owes you.
Well, this is exactly what happened. We were supposed to get married August 12th or 11th. And when we got married, we were going to claim our taxes together, and that's what he had told my mother he was going to pay her back with, was his tax check.
You didn't get married. You didn't get a joint tax check. And you have no idea of how much he actually owes you. So what do you want me to do?
Okay.
Listen, you make bad judgments and sometimes bad things happen, madam. You made a very bad judgment. You don't meet somebody in a bar and allow them to move in 12 hours later into your home.
I realize that.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $400, which is the amount that the defendant acknowledges that he owes you. That's all. Step out.
Why is that just wait here?
I was in love with him, so I just kept giving him chance after chance, which is stupid on my part.
She never worked the whole day, the whole time we were together.
Well, at first I was really heartbroken, but now I'm not.
The whole time she's spending money like crazy.
I mean, look at him, so...
She she should be happy she's getting the 400, let alone anything else.
21-year-old Brooke Beeson and her mother, Lynn McWaters, are suing Brooke's former roommate, 20-year-old Kimberly May, for breaking their apartment lease. Kimberly claims Brooke uses illegal drugs.
Yes, case number 374 on the calendar in the matter of Beeson McWaters versus May. The parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
How old are you?
21.
Who is this?
My mother.
Thank you. Miss Beeson, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. Were you both in college at the time?
She dropped out of college. I was still attending, yes.
And according to your complaint, she moved out.
Yes.
On the lease. She moved out on the lease, and in addition to moving out on the lease, she, according to you, defamed you by telling certain things to your landlord about what was going on in the apartment. You want to be compensated for both.
Absolutely.
Half of the rent and the defamatory remarks that she allegedly made to the landlord.
Yes.
When did you sign the lease?
May 2006.
And you had known each other for a long time, according to what I read in the complaint. Mm-hmm. So this wasn't new. And it was just the two of you in the apartment?
Yes.
When did you move out?
June 29th, 2006.
Okay. Now you're going to tell me why you moved out.
Due to bad circumstances.
No, well, that's...
Drug use, and she clearly disrespected me after asking her plenty of times, her friends in and out of my stuff, my bathroom. I had to put a lock on my door because I didn't feel comfortable leaving my own house, and that's why I left.
Let me try to sort it out a little bit. You felt uncomfortable because her friends were coming to the house, and you felt uncomfortable with them.
Yes.
Why?
Because they were up all hours of the night using drugs.
Did you ever see anybody using drugs?
Yes.
Who?
Brooke and her friends.
What kind of drugs?
Marijuana, and that's all I saw.
Did you ever smoke marijuana?
Yes.
So they were up, they were partying, they were smoking marijuana.
That I know of.
That you know of. A substance that you also indulged in.
Not at the apartment.
Wherever. It's somebody's apartment. You didn't do it in the street, right?
Right.
But you didn't do it at school, right?
Right.
So you had to do it in somebody's apartment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you had to put a lock on the door.
Yes.
Your bedroom door.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me when you put a lock on the bedroom door.
In May.
Tell me why.
Because I didn't feel my belongings were safe. She had people in and out of her apartment.
Miss May, did you have any rules that you set up before you moved into this apartment with Miss Beeson?
No.
Well, then you have a problem, madam. Your problem is you have to be a big girl.
I know that now.
And if you sign a lease on an apartment, you can't just pick up your marbles and go home. So far, you haven't given me one valid reason why you would be entitled to break a lease. You're alleging that you saw her and her friend smoking marijuana. Whether you did in the apartment or not, I don't know. But you certainly did it in somebody else's apartment, so you weren't frightened of drug use because you did it yourself.
Not at the time. Before I have.
Whatever. I didn't say at the time, before or after. So you weren't certainly frightened of what you saw there because it was something you had indulged in yourself. I mean, I can understand you not being happy if there's lots of partying going on. Did she complain to you about that? Is not an answer. Did she complain to you about people being in the apartment? Or...
Yes.
So what did you say to her?
They're mutual friends of ours, so at certain times, the same friends that would be there with me would be there when I would come home. Late at night, they would be over with her.
Well, why didn't you try to work it out? Sit down and work out a scenario where at 1 o'clock in the morning, everybody goes home, whether it's your friends or her friends. Why didn't you try to work it out?
Because it wasn't an ongoing thing. It wasn't day to day. It wasn't day in, day out. So it was never a continual issue.
Well, but she made it an issue. When did she tell you she was moving out?
Never told me. Moved
That's a
out.
lie.
Vacated the premises without any warning. Said she needed to talk to me the morning before I came home from work. I said, you know what, I have school all day. I'll be home at 2 o'clock. I have to be at work at 5. If you want to talk when I get home from school, that's totally fine. If you want to meet me, I'll be here from 2 to 5 before I go to work. Came home, didn't say a word to me. I went to work, came home, and all of her things were gone.
What efforts did you make to find another roommate to take over your lease?
I told her 3 weeks prior to my moving out.
What efforts
I
did
didn't
you
make any.
Well, you have to. You can't just walk out on a lease. What proof do you have that she made statements to the landlord about you?
I have a document that she had given to the apartment complex, if you want to look at this.
That she signed?
That she has signed, yes, absolutely.
I'd like to see it.
Who prepared this letter for you?
Me and my
I accept no responsibility for rent or expenses relating to the apartment after June 29th, 2006. You have a contract with them, and you have a contract with her. And you made absolutely no effort to find another roommate. You have to be a big girl. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Well, why did you help her write this letter? Stand up when you talk.
Because she needed to write it at the time.
What do you mean she needed to write it at the time? I don't understand you. Did you know your daughter smoked marijuana?
She had before.
She had before?
Yes,
She
I
probably
did.
had during. And I guarantee you she does afterwards. Maybe not in the apartment, but it's not something that frightens her because she does it herself. And that's the only drug use that she ever says she saw in the apartment. So why would she sort of ascribe any untoward behavior to the plaintiff? It's outrageous. She's a baby, and she shouldn't be coddled by you. Should have told her not to rent the apartment in the first place. You have a roommate now?
No, I do not.
Did you have a roommate?
Yes, I did for 1 month.
So you did have a roommate.
Yes.
When did the roommate move in?
In October. It was a temporary thing. He was moving in and moving out, and I needed the rent, so I told him he could move in for the 1 month that he was transferring places from where he was at to going back to his parents' house. It was an agreement we had from the start. He was the only person I could find, and I needed the money at the time, so any money's better than no money at this point.
Did you put any ads in the paper?
I have not, but I had a roommate lined up that bailed on me last minute. So it's just a bunch of
Who's paying the rent now?
My mother does. I'm a full-time student.
When is the lease up?
May of 2007.
Well, you better see if you can find another roommate.
Absolutely. I'm in
What's the rent?
$1,400. It's actually $1,391.
Okay, so it's $700 each. Is
Yes.
that right?
Not including utilities.
She moved out in May. Did you pay May's rent?
Yes.
Did you pay June's rent?
Yes.
You didn't pay July?
No.
Didn't pay August?
No.
Didn't pay September?
No, but she wrote me a letter saying that she was having a roommate move in September 1st, 2006, and I responded to her
Let me see.
letter.
Give her both of them.
Okay. Well, you wrote this letter to her, telling her exactly what she owed and that your daughter, fortunately, had found a roommate that will be moving in September 1st. You wrote the letter.
However, can I?
Yes.
Brooke had a girl from work lined up that had given us a $200 deposit, which we, on the itemization, showed that she had given us. The girl ended up not moving in. So we deducted $200, the deposit she had given, and we did get a deposit from her to secure us, but it didn't remove Kim from the lease. Anyways, she did not get another roommate until Chad moved in for 1 month. She has contacted everybody. She let the apartment know that she would move out if they could find somebody. A tenant had come to me regarding something, and I had tried to work something out where she could even take over the apartment so Brooke could be back home.
I got you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You move in. You find a roommate. You don't have to find her a roommate. Find yourself a roommate. How about it? No. Right. Right. She's a big baby.
And later today.
How old are you, Anthony?
16.
How tall are you?
6'1".
What do you feed him?
Pasta.
Pasta. So you're older than he is. Yeah. Start eating more pasta.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brooke Beeson claims former roommate Kimberly May broke their lease when she moved out of their apartment.
You have 3 months' rent so far. We have October that this fellow moved in, and you have November and December. That's 5 months' rent. It's $3,500. So far, that's what you owe her. And although I'm not happy with the letter that you sent, the letter does not indicate that the plaintiff is the one that was using drugs in the apartment. It says that there was drug use in the apartment. It doesn't describe that conduct particularly to her. Could have been other people, it could have been guests, etc. So I'm not awarding you any money for defamation. Right now, the entire lawsuit has not come to fruition yet. It's not become fixed yet because I am hoping that she will find a roommate.
So am I. I'm paying the rent.
Right, I got it. You can't do that. And your daughter can't do that. She's got a responsibility. Why should this mother be responsible for the rent? Let your daughter move in, she'll move out. You want to do that? Stand up. Move over. The apartment's lease goes until next May. Right now, Miss Beeson's mother has been footing the bills for your daughter's share of the rent. She's perfectly prepared for her daughter to come home and live at home. You want to assume the responsibility from January until May for your daughter? She'll move out and your daughter can move in. That way she can be safe. She can have only her own friend. How about it?
No, I would not.
Why?
Why?
Why is my question? Why is it okay for this lady to pay all the rent when your daughter defaulted, and not for you to pay all the rent when your daughter defaulted?
First of all, that lady doesn't have to pay anything. I don't have to pay anything.
Sure
They're
you
two
do.
adults.
No, just a second. You made an excuse for your daughter and you helped her craft a letter to get out of a lease. Your daughter had no right to move out.
May I say something? What if I find her roommate?
No. That's not my question. That's not my question. My question is, you can't stick her with the rent. But instead of her having to pay you any money since she's already out that money, you move in. You find a roommate. You don't have to find her a roommate. Find yourself a roommate that you're happy with. How about it?
No.
May I say something?
Right. She's a big baby. And don't encourage her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's all.
Parties on the street. They step out.
The drug use? There's no drug use by my part. Her not respecting me and her friends not respecting me. So if she was upset about and concerned about it, something you talk about, just being disrespectful. The fact that I lost my best friend, of course, that hurt. Yeah, takes a toll.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Day versus Fenimore. Step forward.
Jennifer Day is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Spencer Fenimore, for breaking a lease. Spencer claims there was no lease to break.
Miss Day, you and Mr. Fenimore lived together for a period of time, signed a lease on an apartment, lived together during the course of that lease. The lease was renewed, according to you, for another 6 months, and Mr. Fenimore moved out after a month or so. You want him to be responsible for his half of the remainder of the lease. Mr. Fenimore, while he acknowledges that you signed an initial lease together, his defense is that he did not sign the renewal that you must have signed for him. You knew that he was intending to leave, that things weren't going well between the two of you, and he is not responsible for the second part of the lease. So can I see the first lease that you signed? When did you move in together?
It was, I believe, December 2004.
Well, the lease was signed November 2005.
I think it was 2004. I'm not real correct on that.
Well, what am I looking at? November 29, 2005. What?
That's probably our renewal lease.
I didn't ask for the renewal. I asked for the original lease.
This isn't the actual lease, but it's part of the first lease that has the 12/8/04 date that Spencer was speaking of.
Can I see it, please? Okay. So the original was signed on 12/8/04, and you claim the renewal was signed by him on November 29th, 2005.
That's correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you sign the renewal?
Yes.
You said in your answer you didn't sign the renewal.
I signed the renewal that went from November 2005 until May 2006. She's suing me from May 2006 to November 2006.
Got it. So who has that renewal?
The one that I handed to you, it shows that we went in the office and verbally renewed, and I have a letter from the office dated June 1st.
You can't verbally renew. Cannot verbally renew a 6-month lease. That's ridiculous. He says he did not renew the lease. You have no proof that he did renew the lease.
If he didn't want to renew the lease, Your Honor, he shouldn't have stayed there till July.
Because then you can have a month-to-month tenancy.
Okay.
You can have a month-to-month tenancy. You pay
Correct.
every month until the landlord says, listen, I don't want to give you a month-to-month tenancy anymore. You have to leave within 30 days. Then you leave.
Right.
But you can't obligate him. Sorry. Case is dismissed.
Parties on the street. They step out.
If he wanted to move out, he should have moved out at the end of May instead of staying until July.
The fact of the matter is, this is not a monetary case. This is a case where she's still in love with me. I'm not in love with her. She wants me to stay. I don't want to stay.
This one night told me he didn't want to see me anymore.
Why would you want to live with someone that doesn't want to live with you?
I was shocked, and it escalated into a huge fight.
Why would you even push the issue? If someone doesn't want to live with you, let them go out diplomatically. Don't try to coerce them into staying.
He stayed a couple of weeks and then left when I was at work.
To thank the good judge for being so rational in this case.
Larissa Quella Ehlers is suing business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego for a refund on custom T-shirts.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2014, Quella Ehlers versus Gallegos.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Your last name is Ehlers?
Ehlers.
Ehlers.
Yes.
You have a son.
I do.
And he plays a sport.
He does.
What kind of a sport does he?
He is in asphalt racing.
Is he on a team?
We have our own team. It's called Lionheart Racing.
And how many people are on the team?
He is the sole driver, but we have a pit crew of approximately 8.
And he doesn't wear a uniform. When he
wears
drives.
a race suit, yes.
He wears a race suit.
Correct.
So the T-shirt that you ordered from the defendant were for the Aiton crew.
It was to sell. My son has a congenital heart defect, and he was treated when he was very young at Chalk Hospital, so we sell shirts to donate the proceeds to Chalk Hospital.
To whom?
We sell shirts to fans, to the pit crew, to family, friends.
Well, pit crew is only 8 people. I assume you give them a shirt.
We do.
Yeah, of course. So the other ones you sell, if you could sell. How many years have you been selling these shirts?
2 years.
And last year, who made the T-shirts for you?
A place called Rush Order Tees.
Would you look that up, please?
Sure. It's an online T-shirt ordering.
And when they came last year, how many did you order?
We ordered 200 last year.
How many did you sell?
We sold all of them.
And how much were they? A
They were
piece
$25 a piece.
to make.
To make 13, I believe.
So you were able to give a lot of money that year to your favorite charity.
Correct.
Why didn't you go back to Rush Ortiz this year?
Sonia, the defendant.
No, I'm asking you, were satisfied with your product?
I was. And I was actually in the process of getting ready to place a new order when I received a call at my office asking if I would be interested in placing an order with their company that was a local company.
And who did you get that call from?
Sonia.
That's you.
Yes.
How did you get the plaintiff's number?
I was making calls to local businesses listed as members of the Placentia City Chamber of Commerce. Her place of business, Impact Properties, came up as a member, and I made a call, and she was the one that answered the phone.
And what did you say to her?
I introduced myself, and I let her know that we are a screen printing business here in Placentia, and I was reaching out to local businesses to see if they would be interested in ordering custom t-shirts, and if not, at least to let them know that we offer those services for future reference.
How much did you quote her per t-shirt?
So she ordered a few different garments.
Now just tell me what you quoted her.
$14 per t-shirt.
That's $1 more than you had paid last year.
Correct.
Had you gotten a quote from Rush Order for this year?
Not yet.
Well, that would cut into your profit by about $200.
Except that I didn't have to pay shipping.
Rush Order isn't a large online reputable business for screen printing, bags, cups, shirts, things like that.
And you were happy with them last year?
Yes.
On what date did you place an order with the defendant's company for these t-shirts?
March 30th.
Do you have a written agreement?
I do.
May I see it, please?
I would like to note that the $14 quote was for 90 t-shirts, not 200. So that does.
I just want to see what the contract says. Yes, $14 was for 90. That was for short-sleeved. Long sleeve printed was $16 plus tax. There's a setup fee, redraw artwork, extra large sizes. Well, this is not a signed agreement. However, the last sentence reads, by submitting your payment, you agree to these terms and conditions. You are verifying that all the information on the invoice is correct. You submitted payment.
I do have proof of payment.
They don't dispute that you actually paid them because you had to pay them in advance.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a clear contract, and it's your claim that you were dissatisfied with the artwork, you had paid already, you want a refund, you did not use their t-shirts,
correct.
And I believe you actually canceled or tried to reverse the credit card that you had used.
I tried to get a refund through PayPal, correct.
And according to you, that was denied because the defendant said that you had actually picked up the t-shirts.
Correct. And I have proof of that.
I'd like to see that.
The incorrect logo was.
Okay, before I get into the substantive part of it, whether or not you like the artwork or not, who was contacted by PayPal? Which one of you?
That would be, he handled the PayPal claim.
I took care of PayPal.
You took the call from PayPal?
Yes.
When you had communication with PayPal, do you have any proof, written proof of your communication, or did you just speak to PayPal verbally on the phone?
Both. We talked on the phone, and we also, PayPal documents our conversations via email through the website.
Did you tell PayPal that the plaintiff had picked up the merchandise?
Yes.
Well, that's not true.
It is true. She picked up the merchandise.
No. I don't believe that, sir. I believe she was dissatisfied with the merchandise. But unless you can prove to me that she picked up the merchandise, I don't believe that. Okay. Because she may be a tough cookie, and she may have gotten crazed with you and said miserable things about you in her review. But she would not be here today if she picked up the merchandise.
Her event was the next day. The day she picked them up, It was the day before her event.
Who gave it to her?
We gave it to her.
Not we. No, not we. Who gave it to her?
I gave it to her.
You're asking me a question, sir. You're asking me a question.
Her order was...
Just a second.
Mm-hmm.
You have a business?
Yes.
You're in a building. Is there a reception area in the building?
Yes.
Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up from the reception area in the building?
I don't recall.
I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it. Did you tell PayPal that they were picked up in a reception area in your building?
I don't recall if I said the reception area or my office. I'm not sure the terminology I used.
Well, what was it, reception area or your office?
My office is
that's a question.
Area. My reception area is in my office. I don't recall exactly what I told PayPal, but she did pick them up that day. And that's what I told PayPal.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. That's what we're here for. Because sizing her up, she's a tough cookie.
Yes.
And she, as I said, might have been dissatisfied with the logo, which I don't necessarily have to even go into now. What the screen was like, what the colors were off, whatever it was, I don't have to go into that. Because if I believe that she did not pick up the merchandise, and you told PayPal that she did pick up the merchandise, she gets her refund back. Now, so I'm going to come back to you. You didn't like the way they looked.
Correct.
I don't care why. Did you have other shirts made?
I did. I have one of them here today.
Do you have an invoice for the other shirts? Who did you have them made by?
Rush Order Tees.
That's easy. When did you have them made by Rush Order Tees?
I had them made in May.
Well, that's about 30 days later. Mm-hmm. And did you sell them?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Pull up an order from your phone for Rush Order Tees, please. While you're looking at it, just tell me, how much did you pay for them from Rush Order Tees, and how many did you order?
It was just slightly over $2,000. I believe we ordered 110 T-shirts.
Okay. And you got them sometime in May?
Correct. I'm sorry, that was April 26th was the exact date.
May I see it, please?
There's my order.
It was 1828.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Gallagher, she ordered the T-shirts within a couple of weeks and got them from another company, which suggests to me that if she picked up your T-shirts, she would not have done that. Do you understand?
I don't.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. Because
well,
if she
you may not,
200...
you may not like it, but ladies may be to you abrasive, because that's what you say in here. She may be abrasive, but she would not ask for a refund through PayPal if she had picked up. If she had picked up the merchandise. She would not have done that.
The previous year she ordered 200, and this year she ordered 100 from me, 100 from them, which same is consistent, 200 shirts.
I can answer to that if you'd like.
She picked them up.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
We ordered a smaller quantity this year because many of our friends had already purchased them the previous year.
Whatever. I don't believe that you picked them up. I believe that you got angry because they weren't exactly what you wanted. You looked at them, but there's no question that it was an easy answer for him to give when PayPal called and said she picked them up from the reception area. Okay, and I don't believe that. So you have to get your refund back because you were dissatisfied and because you lied. There was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband, and you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers claims business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego owe for a refund on custom T-shirts. Ernie and Sonia are countersuing for defamation.
No, that doesn't justify.
What?
We did do all the work. The printing is the very last part of the order. We did graphic work, we printed samples, we went above and beyond to try to make her happy, and she was completely unreasonable. There was
listen, I said to you,
yeah,
she may be a completely unreasonable customer.
right.
That's possible. Fortunately, I don't have to go into that because the reason your husband gave PayPal for not giving her a refund was because she took the merchandise. And I don't believe that. I believe she may have been, in your eyes, a totally unreasonable customer. And if your husband had said to PayPal, we were ready, willing, and able. We fulfilled our contract to the letter, and we could just not satisfy this lady. The merchandise is here, ready to be picked up. It was always ready to be picked up. He didn't. He told them she got it, and that was not true. And that, Miss Gallagher, is why she gets her refund back.
Her event was the day before. We were on a crucial deadline. We have our employees working overtime, getting her job done. We have receipts of all the items that were printed, that were ordered. She came in the day before her event, picked up what we had completed. I had completed approximately 72 shirts. She took one box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest. She left with what she had for her event. She even posted pictures on social media of our shirts.
Oh, that I would like to see. Did you pick up any boxes from him?
Picked up no boxes. And the event that he's referring to, my son has a race on the second Saturday of every month. I had asked for those shirts to be ready by his April race, but because they were not, I didn't have shirts for him until the March race. Every shirt that you see in my social media or my son's social media is the shirts that we purchased from Rush Order Tees.
I'd like to see.
This is our sample picture.
No, I want to see what...
Oh, here.
Is that one of the shirts that you prepared for
This
her?
is on her social media account, and then this is also just the graphic work that we did on her social media page.
Which social media account?
I'll find out.
We know that's our shirts because I did the graphic design work. All the logos she gave me were like different colors. They were full color. They had black backgrounds. I revised, redrew everything, and converted them all to white.
Just 1 second.
I did the graphic work, and they're all in PNG form, so all you have to do is change them
If
to
she
white.
did the graphic work, why would she pay us to do the graphic work?
And I have an email printout of the graphic she submitted to us. It's not print ready.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm not getting into those weeds. Because,
I have copies of all of the tags.
According to you, yes. I'm going to go back. He said that there were 2 boxes ready.
There were 2 boxes ready.
There's 2 boxes ready, but that wasn't all the shirts.
There was
2 boxes. Shh. The 2 boxes were not all the shirts. How many shirts were in a box?
72.
So what you're telling me is that she picked up 72 shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Go back and tell me. Just refresh my recollection as to what he said about the 2 boxes of shirts. Well, we had 2 boxes of shirts ready.
I didn't pick up a thing. They wouldn't even let me take a sample.
She took 1 box out of 2 that day. She was going to come back for the rest.
Were there only 2 boxes, or were there more than 2 boxes?
2 boxes.
Did you tell PayPal that she did not take half of the merchandise?
I told PayPal that we filled 72 pieces when I talked to him on the phone.
That's not what PayPal said to her, sir. That's not what PayPal said.
I'm not sure what PayPal said to her.
PayPal said that the merchandise was delivered to you.
Exactly
and you did not
what?
return, and it was not returned. But that's not true.
Exactly what I'm testifying here is what I told PayPal.
Well, then why wouldn't PayPal say to her, look, we don't know what the dispute is all about, color and everything else, but you're entitled to half your deposit back if you told her you only delivered half the merchandise.
The thing is, 100% of the shirts, there's 3 locations, a front, back, and a sleeve. We have everything's 100%, the sleeves are done. The 72 were printed 100%. We just had 29 shirts remaining, 28 shirts remaining.
I don't believe you, Mr. Gallagher. She gets her deposit back. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Counterclaim is for $5,000 for defamation. So I'd like to see how she defamed you.
So Larissa posted a negative review on Yelp, which
she's allowed
to. However, she's not allowed to say that my husband lunged at her and was aggressive.
I'd like to see it. And then I'll ask her about it.
And I've also included other reviews from other businesses that she's dealt with where it has the same MO. I spoke to another business owner.
Did Miss Gallagher call you on your cell phone the day afterwards to apologize for her husband's behavior?
She called me that afternoon.
On your cell phone?
I believe it was on my cell phone, yes.
And this happened on April 26th of 2022?
It happened on April 8th.
Okay, so that would be in your phone log.
Should be, if I still have it.
While she's looking, Miss Gallego, after this incident, when she came in and had this acrimonious discussion with your husband, which is evidenced in this review, did you call Miss Ehlers? Did you call her?
I did call her.
Okay.
Yes, I
And
did.
that because that she can prove that you called her.
Yes.
After this screaming match that she had with your husband, where she left your premises,
It wasn't
she
a
said,
screaming
just,
match.
she said that you came down for whatever reason. I'm just asking you things that can be proven.
Right.
What can be proven is after she stormed out that day, you called her the next day. I want to know what you're claiming you said to her the next day.
I gave her a call to smooth this situation over.
Just tell me what you said to her the next day. Hello, it's me from $5 school teas. It's Sonia.
Okay.
What did you say to her? Be careful.
I don't remember word for word, but what I do remember saying is that I apologize for how everything played out.
Okay. Okay, because there was an incident between the plaintiff and your husband.
Yes.
And you came in. Did you say something to her?
Yeah, I did.
Don't.
I didn't want to talk to her.
No. I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance.
Larissa Kuala-Ehlers is accusing business owners Ernie and Sonia Gallego of ruining her custom t-shirt order. Ernie and Sonia say Larissa left a negative review and defamed them.
Okay, you came in the middle of the dispute.
Yes.
And in the middle of the dispute to try to calm things down.
Yes.
Because she was screaming at him.
Yes.
And he was screaming at her.
No.
What was he saying to her? She was screaming at him, and what was he doing? Now, just remember, you called her the next day.
I did.
To apologize to her.
Not to her. I called to apologize for the entire situation from beginning
But
to
if
end.
what you're telling me is that the only one who was behaving badly was the plaintiff. That's what you're telling me. The only one that was behaving badly was the plaintiff.
She was out of line.
There's no question. There's no question. Actually, she acknowledges in this review.
That's not the worst part of it.
She acknowledges in this review that she was out of line in screaming.
Yes.
And that's what you came into.
Yes.
So the only thing that you're disputing is that your husband was likewise screaming at her. Answered her back.
He was not screaming. He was patient, and he was attempting to work it out with her. The only thing I remember him saying, and I can recall, is him saying, I'm trying to help you. I don't understand why you're acting this way. And I do recall him telling her that she was a bad person because she was...
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a person can only take so much.
I'm telling you, she says this.
Yes.
In her review. Okay. Now, you want me to look at other reviews that she wrote for a carpet company in 2021.
Yes, and I spoke to the owner.
Shh. Okay, first she complained about a carpet company and the horrible service. They laughed at her and disrespected her. Okay. And then, that was in 2021. That was a year before. Then she posted a review, according to the timeline, in 2015. So 6 years before.
It shows a pattern.
No, a pattern.
Yeah,
a pattern. Three complaints. Three complaints from somebody who lives a life in 6 years.
I have a copy of all of the
Just
shh.
Okay, and this one said the owner wasn't interested in hearing complaints. It was over the phone and hung up. That's 2015. Okay, she takes her reviews seriously. Now, you want to show me other reviews?
These are all of the 5-star reviews that I've done as well. I'm an equal opportunity Yelper.
Just a second. Would you just show this to the plaintiff and make sure she knows that those are hers, and then I'm going to have you show this to the defendants. Okay. Now show this to Miss Gallego. you have to do is look at them quickly.
Yeah.
Well, no, just a second.
Yeah.
You didn't look at them.
Oh, I was reading. Okay.
You don't have to read the whole thing. These are 5-star reviews.
Yes.
Count how many she did.
Yes, I see that there's a good...
So she takes her reviews seriously. It's not a pattern.
Right, but she's aggressive in everyone. Like I mentioned,
No, not aggressive in here.
Well, not in those.
Not
but
not
the
in
negative
here.
ones, yes.
Not in here. And 2 of the ones that you gave me were over the phone. If I
have
told you how
additional
many
reviews.
times my husband hangs up on people over the phone aggressively.
I understand, but name calling and belittling people and calling him
retarded,
stupid.
Just a second. All unladylike.
She attacked my face.
Oh, listen to me. That's not what you're talking about, Mr. Gallego. You're talking about a lawsuit for defamation, that she posted something that was false on the internet. And I'm telling you it wasn't false because I think you got into a screaming match with her, and I think that your wife intervened that day, which is why she called her the next day to try to smooth things over. This is not a tea dance. This is not a tea dance. You understand? This is not a tea dance. I believe that she did not pick up her shirts. I believe that that's why your wife called her to try to smooth out that, as well as what had happened the day before. She behaved badly.
You're allowing a tyrant to get away with this.
I'm allowing a tyrant to get away with this?
She completely bashed us. She's lying. She picked up her order.
No, I don't believe that.
Your Honor, my reputation, I work with students, I work with teachers, moms. My reputation, I don't advertise.
Just a second.
It's all word of mouth.
She did not pick up her order, sir, even according to you. According to you, she only picked up a partial order. She picked up 1 box. That's according to you. That's not what takes out the way. That's not. No, I don't. Listen to me. So what you're saying is there were 2 boxes, not in half. The orders were not in half. You filled up 1 box and only there was a little bit of merchandise left in the second box.
Back for, yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you, sir.
Because
she gets a refund. She gets a refund. $16.93.
What about
Judgment
all
for
the
the
work
plaintiff.
that
Counterclaims dismissed. We are done here.
This court is adjourned.
She completely dismissed the way she treated us.
She absolutely made the right decision.
I've never dealt with a customer like this in my 25-year history. I went well above and beyond.
They're angry with me because I didn't like their work product.
Our work speaks for itself. Our history speaks for itself. We have clients that have been with us for years, and we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
You always get what you pay for. Make sure you're looking out for where you're doing business.
I really believe that she got aggressive with him when she went to pick up those shirts. She acknowledges she got aggressive with him. She says in her Yelp review, sorry to say that she became angry and agitated and started screaming at him, which he doesn't have to tolerate. I do believe that his wife intervened, as she said in her Yelp review, that his wife came in saying to his wife, I'm talking to her, not to you. I can
Really
actually,
heated moment.
I can actually see
Visualize
him.
it.
I can actually visualize him saying that. The problem is you have to make a judgment. And the judgment really was whether somebody who was aggressive, and she was, who knows her business, knows what she wants, runs a business, had ordered the shirts before, had ordered them from somebody else, was satisfied with the previous order because there was no negative review that they showed from that order. She may have been dissatisfied. She may have had just cause to be dissatisfied. But he lied when she said she picked up the shirts.
Just to prevent her from getting a
From
refund.
getting her refund. So I didn't believe that because I don't think that that woman would have been here if she picked up the shirts. She would have been here. She would have said, I want a refund because here are the shirts. It's not what I ordered.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
It's usually not true.
Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình nha. Hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về nhân vật Shinosuke nhé. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu và hoàn thiện cho bức tranh nha. Đây là mình sẽ tô màu cho bộ đồ nha. Mình sẽ tô màu cho những cái hình ở trên cái bộ đồ trước nhé. Chiếc bánh ngày mai không yêu anh nhiều ai. mình sẽ tô màu nâu nhạt nha. Đây mình sẽ tô để phần tóc nha. Hôm nay thì chúng ta đã cùng nhau hoàn thiện cho bức tranh tô màu về nhân vật Sin, và đây chính là thành quả của mình. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Bye bye mọi người nha. Hello mọi người nha, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ cùng với nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về nhân vật là bố của nhân vật Shinosuke nhé. Chúng mình sẽ cùng với nhau tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Đầu tiên là mình sẽ tô màu cho phần mái tóc cũng như là lông mày nhé. Chiếc áo thì mình sẽ tô màu xanh nha. sẽ tò mò cho chiếc quần nhé. Các bạn ơi, mình đã hoàn thiện xong cho bức tranh rồi. Đây chính là thành quả mà mình đã tô được. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình đón xem. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc nhé các bạn. Hello mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng với nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về một nhân vật là bạn của Shin ở trong bộ phim Shinosuke nha. Bạn này thì tên là Bo thì phải. Chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Đầu tiên là chúng ta sẽ tô phần mái tóc nha các bạn. Tiếp đến thì mình sẽ tô màu cho chiếc áo nha. Mình sẽ tô màu cho chiếc quần màu xanh lá. Mình sẽ tô nốt đôi giày nha. nay thì chúng ta đã cùng nhau tô màu cho nhân vật Bô. Và đây chính là thành quả mà mình đã tô được nha. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi. Hello mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về cô bé em của Sin nha. Chúng mình hãy cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Cô bé tên là Himawari nha. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau bắt đầu và tô màu nhé. Trước tiên là mình sẽ tô màu cho phần mái tóc trước. Mình sẽ tô màu ở chiếc yểu cô bé nhé. Mình sẽ tô màu vàng. Mình sẽ sử dụng màu da để tô màu cho những phần còn lại trên cơ thể nha. Biết ngay mà. Có về chưa? Vậy chịu. Mọi người gọi đúng không?
Đúng rồi, sao biết?
Nhìn cái mặt mày là biết. Sao vừa thấy mày rẻ phát mà. Bức tranh về cô bé đã được mình hoàn thiện rồi này mọi người. Mọi người thấy xinh không? Hãy để lại bình luận bên dưới để cho mình biết ý kiến của mọi người về bức tranh của ngày hôm nay nhé. Hello mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh về cô gái này nha. Cô gái này đang sơn móng tay. Chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu nhé. Trước mình sẽ sử dụng màu da để tô cho phần gương mặt và bàn tay nha. Hả? Hay người ta hết rồi à? Bánh gì ấy nhìn lại miếng này à? Thế thì bánh gì ít nhân nhở? Vậy cả? Bây giờ là
5.000 chị trả cho quay.
5.000 á? Thôi chả mày. Chắc là còn cứng cứng thôi chứ. Cảm ơn.
À, cái đồng hồ bị hỏng mẹ em.
Cái gì?
Cái đồng hồ bị hỏng rồi.
Thật á?
Tháng nay á, tháng em và em tập mình cái làm kêu á, nhóm cơm như bình thường, nó cứ để đấy xong rồi tháo cả mình tao mới hết.
Mang lên xem nào. Cái đồng hồ đều sẽ đều này. Đây á. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô đến chiếc áo nha. Gì? Nói gì chả hiểu. Ăn xong người ta ăn nói. Nói ăn nhạt khó chịu.
Em cũng thử tắt cái on off đấy, nó cũng không được, bạn phải tháo pin ra nó mới hết.
Chiều đi học không?
Ba chưa ăn. Còn nếu mẹ tắt và tắt ra.
Tắm xong rồi về à?
Đấy xong tối
Tối đi học mà.
tối bà bắt đi.
Bà coi mày đi học thêm, thế mày định nghỉ học thêm à?
Chịu, bà không cho.
Thế bảo mẹ. Ta bảo mẹ cho. Bảo xin nghỉ luôn đi. Đi học thêm là cái. Chị thấy mẹ định nghỉ chị Linh á? Bây giờ à? Bức tranh của mình đã hoàn thiện xong rồi và đây chính là thành quả của mình nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình theo dõi. Video của mình đây xin được khép lại và kết thúc nhé. Hello mọi người, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ cùng với các bạn tô màu cho bức tranh về nhân vật Doremi. Chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô nhé. Đầu tiên là mình sẽ tô màu cho chiếc mũi và phần miệng của Doremi nha. Thêm một chiếc nơ nữa. chiếc chuông và những cái kẹt sọc ở cái bụng này. Minh Đức à? Nghe. Thì ok không? Bây giờ mình sẽ tô màu cho Remy màu vàng nha. Chưa ăn gì á? Sao mà ăn? 12 giờ mới ăn cơm. Sáng có xin miễn tiền không? Không á? Chúng mà xin tiền mua bánh ngọt mà ăn. Thường người ta vẫn mở cửa. Mua nhanh thì không người ta dọn. Bảo là sáng con chưa kịp ăn gì. Nhẹ ơi cháu ngủ à? Bức tranh nhân vật Remy của mình đã được hoàn thiện. Mọi người thấy xinh không? Video này đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn nhé. Các bạn ơi, hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng với nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về nhân vật Starfire ở trong bộ phim Biệt đội thiếu niên Titan nha các bạn. Chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Đầu tiên là mình sẽ tô màu cho mái tóc hồng đặc trưng của cô gái nha. để mình sẽ tô màu cho bộ đồ nha. Đồ mình sẽ tô màu tím. Cuối cùng là mình sẽ tô màu da nha. Da cô nàng này thì nó hơi nâu nâu một xíu. Mọi người ơi, mình đã hoàn thiện cho bức tranh tô màu và đây chính là thành quả của mình. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình đón xem và theo dõi nhé. Bye bye. Các bạn ơi, hôm nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh này nha. Đầu tiên là mình sẽ tô phần mái tóc nhé. Mình sẽ tô màu cho bờ bông tai nha. Tiếp đó thì sẽ có bộ đồ nha. Sẽ tô màu cho đôi giày. Thấy không? Vì sẽ tối để cho 20 vui trong lòng, đừng cứ quay ở trong căn phòng bao xóm. Như vậy là mình cũng đã tô màu xong cho bức tranh của cô gái, và đây chính là thành quả của mình. Mình cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi. Video của mình đến đây xin được phép khép lại và kết thúc. Các bạn ơi, hôm nay thì các bạn sẽ cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh về cô gái này nha. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ cùng nhau hoàn thiện và tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Đầu tiên là mình sẽ tô màu mái tóc này màu nâu. Tô màu cho phần gương mặt. Giờ thì tôi đến bộ đồ nha. mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về cô gái đang ngồi trên chiếc ghế nha. Giờ thì các bạn sẽ cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh nha. Anh Moji. Đầu tiên là mình sẽ tô màu mái tóc nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô màu đến gương mặt nha. Trước vậy thì mình sẽ chọn tô màu hồng nhé. tô đến chiếc váy nha. Tô màu chiếc váy nha. Như vậy là mình đã hoàn thiện xong cho bức tranh tô màu và đây chính là thành quả của mình nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình đón xem video này. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn nhé. Hello mọi người nha. Chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ cùng với các bạn tô màu cho bức tranh về một vũ công của ballet. Chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau vào cũng như là hoàn thiện cho bức tranh nhé. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô đến đôi giày. Nghe lời tao nghe luôn không? Mọi người ơi, mình đã hoàn thiện xong cho bức tranh về bức tranh rồi. Và đây chính là bức tranh của mình sau khi đã hoàn thiện nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình đón xem video này. Xin chào nhé. Hello mọi người nha, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ cùng với các bạn tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô nàng mà đang đi tắm biển. Chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh nhé. Trước tiên là mình sẽ tô màu cho chiếc mũ mà cô gái đang đội nha. Tiếp theo là các bạn sẽ cùng mình tô màu cho phần mái tóc nha. Tiện thì mình sẽ tô màu cho đôi bông tai nhé. xem video này. Xin chào và hẹn